So someone asked me today about anxiety. I said, why is there so much anxiety in the world? And there's a short answer and there's a long answer. And let's just write down what we need here. We've got anxiety, anxious. This is good lowercase. Okay, so where does this come from? Let's see if we can make this bigger and go to, say, 200%. Cool. So that's nice and big. Okay. So anxiety comes from fear. Okay. And fear is when you're scared of the future, you're scared of the unknown, and you don't know what to do. And I said to my colleague this morning that anxiety is happening because people don't know how to make decisions. So let's just write that down. Anxiety is happening because people don't know how to make decisions. I'm looking on another screen and typing, but it's coming up on the screen where you can see me. So that's why I look over there every now and then. Okay. So what's this about? Anxiety is happening because people don't know how to make decisions. So what's on everybody's mind at the moment? COVID, right? So how do I prevent it entering my body? What if I get it? Should I get a covid-vax? Does the covid-vax work? Should I, what should I believe? And that's just COVID. And then we have electricity. Prices are going up all the time. It's a fact. Supply is going down all the time, at least in South Africa. So this means as prices go up, supply goes down. Okay, but Eskom keep telling us that they need to put the price up because then they can supply more. But since 2008, every time they put the price up, we get less supply. Maybe they need to put the price down. But these are things we worry about. Then there's load shedding. Okay. What if there's power failure? There's power failure. What? Candles? Batteries? Costs? And so, there's all the fear. What about food? Food. What should I eat? Can I afford organic, for example? What about superfoods? And here we are. We're 3.5 minutes into the video, and we've got all this stuff going on: electricity, water, load shedding, food, energy. So if we add over here, we can add water. If I can get there. Okay, I'm just on another screen. Water. Maybe I can't get there. Oh, I'm on the wrong screen. Sorry. I've got to click the mouse over there. Water. Food. All this is energy. And then you've got things like global warming. Is it real? No? And we think about all this stuff and we're getting more and more fearful about the future. Fear is about the future. And we're getting anxious. And then when you have too much anxiousness, you get anxiety. So fear is short-term, scared. Anxiety is long-term. Okay. And then you get adrenal failure, burnout, other problems. Now let's try and resolve the problem. The first thing to do. Fear has got the word ear in it. Yeah? Yeah. So that means the very first thing I need to do is listen. I need to get a pen and come to my computer or go to my desk, piece of paper, or make a mind map or whatever it is that I do and write out all of my questions about the particular subject or I'm scared of. I need to learn to drive, but I'm scared I might crash into someone. Or I want to buy a motorbike, but when I get in my car, I want to get out a baseball bat and hit people. Well, when people say to me, I want to learn to ride a motorbike, I say, well, when you get in the car, do you ever get really upset and you want to hit someone with a baseball bat? And the guy says yes. I say, well, when you can drive a car for 3 months and never think about the baseball bat and let people in and don't worry, then you're ready to start riding a motorbike. Because on a motorbike, you've got to be in a state of meditation all the time. You've got to be in a state of focus. You've got to be in a state of forgiveness. You can't ride a motorbike with having wanting to kill everybody who cuts in front of you. You've got to ride a motorbike expecting that in traffic someone's going to cuss across you, and you learn how to watch out for that. You learn how to be calm. And then when you've been doing that, you get in your car and you drive, and we have these taxis and so on that just cut you off in South Africa. They start letting you in, so you generating this massive, fantastic aura because you're listening. You're saying, okay, what can I do? So fear, and then if we get here, we get into gear. Okay, from fear to gear, and then we get here because we can hear, and we get there. So when we're fearful, we might be fearful of jumping out of a plane on a parachute. Well, that's something we don't have to do. I don't want to do that. I'm quite happy to fly in a plane with fixed wings. I'm even happy to fly in a helicopter. But I don't want to go on a parachute. I don't want to go on a jump off a mountain on a one of those other wing things. I can't think of the name now. They have it in Cape Town. Micro lights. I don't want to do that. That's not my thing. Someone who does that every day might say, well, that's safer than riding a motorbike. And other people ride a motorbike, say it might safer than jumping off a mountain. But everybody has their own thing they want to do. I decide, well, I'm going to ignore that fear because I'm just not going to go there. It's not. I don't have to do it. So there's one way of getting rid of fear. It's saying, well, it's not applicable to me. If it's something that I've written up here, well, I'm worried about load shedding. Obviously, that's applicable to me. So what's the first thing I need to do? Well, I need to have a backup. I need to have my candles. I need to have my batteries. I need to have my torch, flashlight in America, to torch in South Africa. I need to have, some backup food. I need to make sure that I've got whatever I need. And then maybe I can buy a little UPS for my computer and my network. So when there's a load shedding, my network stays up. And maybe I want to watch TV during load shedding. I can get a big battery. And maybe I can, if I can afford to buy a car, then I can make a decision. I'm not going to buy a car. I'm going to take the 200,000 rand I was going to use to buy the car, for example, and I'm going to build my own electricity system in my house. Okay. And if it's going to take 5 years to pay off the car, I'll take 5 years to pay off the electricity system, and maybe that electricity system makes 90% of my electricity. And then after 5 years, I've paid it off. So that component of my electricity bill is free. And I'm getting the other 10% from Eskom or from a generator or wherever. And I've dramatically reduced my fear because I'm never going to have load shedding in my house. I'm never going to have load shedding. I'm never going to have the anxiety of load shedding. I'm never going to be worried. I'm in a meeting with my client and load shedding happens and I can't work. I'm never going to have that anxiety. So people are anxious. If we go back to the beginning, in my opinion, I'm not a doctor. I'm not a psychologist. I'm not a psychiatrist. I'm just a thinker. I'm a scientist. I'm a deep debater. I'm a deep thinker. I don't believe in giving instant answers. I believe in going deep. I can give you the 10-second answer, and I have. That's what anxiety is. And now I'm going deep. If you want to watch the whole thing, you go deep. If you don't want to watch the whole thing, you do something else, and that's fine with me. I've learned that about 10% of the people that watch my videos watch the whole video. And that's good. About 30% watch the first 20 seconds. That's fine. It's like you take a book, whatever book it is, Tom Clancy's book, latest book, you open it up, you read a page. Okay, this is not for me. Put it back, no problem. Pick it up. Wow, this is great. Buy it, take it home. So we have these anxieties, we have these fears, we have these worries, we have these. We've got worry. Let's just put worry here under anxious. You've got worry. Worry. Now, as soon as you worry about something, you putting yourself into a state of heightened awareness. Heightened awareness. So Heightened awareness means that you're in something called fight or flight. So now you're walking in the field. We call it the veld. You're having a hike, and suddenly there's a lion. What do? You have to be prepared for the lion encounter. Some people might have a gun, and some people might have an energy system that allows them to be there and to be invisible. And the way that you become invisible is that your energy system aligns with the energy around you. And if you read Caroline Mace's books, you'll see that there's an article in one of her books where she says that she had to go somewhere and she finds herself in the middle of a riot, and somehow she manages to drive through the riot, but the car behind her gets pushed over by a whole lot of guys, and people inside are not happy, maybe even hurt. But she drives through this riot, and only the next day she realizes what she did, and then she's scared about driving through riots. But that day, her energy wasn't in the riot; it was somewhere else. She wasn't worried about it. I'm not suggesting that if there's a riot, you go and test, drive through the riot and see if you get attacked, or go and test. Well, let's go and walk through the jungle and go and find a lion and then see if the lion wants to eat me. Obviously, if you're going to look for the lion might, take a bite. That might not be good for you. You have people that go surfing in the sea, and then they know they're sharks, but they still go surfing, and they weigh up the odds. And if you go and look how many people died from surfing accidents in the last 50 years compared to how many people die crossing the streets every day, you'll discover that crossing the street is more dangerous than going surfing. And you find one guy got bitten by a shark, lost his leg, got a prosthesis, he's back on the board. So you can deal with your fear in different ways. If you're in a fight or flight scenario, then you have this heightened awareness. Your body's ready to act. You like that cat. When you look at a cat and the cat sees a mouse, or the cat sees a little ball, or the cat sees another cat, or the cat sees a bird, that's the more usual situation in our garden. Cat sees a bird and the cat's like lying there, sort of sleeping, one eye open, what's going on, and all of a sudden you see the cat, tense up and ready to pounce, and all the hairs are up and the ears are up, and it starts walking slowly, and it's in that mode. Maybe a cat can stay in that mode longer than we can. We don't want to be in that mode. We want to be in a state of calm, in a state of collection, in a state of mindfulness. And if I'm in a state of mindfulness and I feel fear, I pick up an apple in a restaurant or a friend's house and it doesn't feel right. I put it down, I pick up another apple, and then I go and wash the apple and then I eat it. And I don't worry about it. It's just a feeling. And you must honor yourself and honor your feelings and honor that your sixth sense. What are the things that happens if we go, let's just write your sixth sense. Sixth sense. Your sixth sense is when you're in a state of complete awareness. When you're away from mind poisons. So mind poisons are things that poison your mind, that cloud your mind. Cloudy mind. You've probably heard of this, cloud. That there's a lot of people around in the world that they're in a cloud, and that they're in fog, brain fog. This is caused by an excess of fear. One reason. And like I said, I'm not a doctor, psychiatrist. So if you've got brain fog, go talk to your psychologist about it. Go talk to your nutritionist about it, and try to find out what's causing it. Is it fear, or is it food, or is it I don't want to go outside because I'm scared of COVID, or whatever the case is? Identify what is making you scared. Okay? Fear. Anxiety. So the mind poisons, like hatred. Let's go back to mind poisons. Mind poisons. Hatred. Jealousy. We can do this. The mind poisons, hatred, jealousy. We can go and get a bullet point list over here somewhere. That's good. Okay. Make this a lowercase J. Prevent uppercase. Make this one uppercase H. So we've got hatred, we've got jealousy, we've got desire. What else we got? We've got things that when we start feeling something, anger. Now, let's suppose that I am talking to someone and they say something that I start feeling angry. I am aware that I'm becoming angry. Okay, fear is a mind poison. And in the moment of the anger, I must step out and like look down at the conversation and say, okay, what's angry here? And we've got arms. These are arms. We wave our arms around, and then we start fighting with people, and they become weapons. And that's why in the military, a weapon is the same word as arm. I'm armed. I'm armed and dangerous. I'm ready to fight. But I don't want to get there. I want to be at the point where I'm able to, I can't control my emotions in terms of that I can control what people see, okay, but I can't control the feeling. So all these mind poisons start with a feeling. Now you might find that meditators might say you shouldn't feel any of these things, but for me, um, what I want to do is I want to feel that feeling as soon as possible. So you might feel anger the minute just before you hit someone. I might feel the anger, coming up an hour before I'm going to hit someone, or even a week, because I have that, after meditating for 8 years and being on courses and things, I have a heightened awareness of these things. And I'm trying to say, okay, I feel the anger and I feel the resentment. Okay, let's add resentment here. And I do something with it. I make a decision for myself. Remember, I said at the beginning, anxiety is happening because people are not making decisions. Okay. And over here, I felt the anger, whatever it was, whatever reason it was. And I stepped back and in my mind, and I said, okay, what am I going to do about this? Am I going to shout at the person? And everybody that I work with, I warn them. I say that there's 2 or 3 conditions when I'm going to shout at you. I tell them when I employ them, or when I work with them, or when I subcontract them, or when they subcontract to me. Say, if you're late and you don't tell me, I'm going to get cross. So if you're going to be late, tell me before you're late. Okay. If you're going to be late for a meeting, tell me before the meeting starts. I'm going to be late. Tell me as soon as you know. If you miss your plane in Johannesburg and you got a meeting with me in Cape Town that afternoon, well, as soon as you miss the plane, you're going to be late. That's like maybe even the day before. Maybe you missed the bus. Maybe your kid is sick and you've got to take them to hospital in the morning. And so you're going to miss the meeting at 10 o'clock. Well, as soon as you woke up at 6 o'clock and your kid was sneezing and you took them to the doctor, you knew at 6 o'clock you're in bed. You sent a message, David. Maybe I'm sleeping at 6. Maybe I woke up at 7. I look at my phone or I look at my email and I say, okay, John can't make the meeting today. So, I'm dealing with my scenario, and another time when I shout at people is when I get tired, especially when I need to work like a 36-hour shift. And I try hard not to do that, but sometimes it's unavoidable. And then I tell people, I've just worked 24 hours straight and my fuse is short. So, don't light that fuse, and, because I'm going to start shouting at you. And it's amazing because I have people who look on LinkedIn. I mean, people have written fantastic testimonials about working for me, even though, they know I'm going to shout at them from time to time. But it's not because I'm trying to get rid of them. The only reason I'm shouting at someone is because I want things to get better. But I don't want to shout at them. I don't want to be angry with them. And if I do shout at someone, when I calm down, I'm going to invite them into a meeting, and I'm going to talk to them for an hour. And I'm going to say, okay, what happened? Why did this happen? So it doesn't happen again. So all the mind poisons, what they do is if we just feel them and act on them, then we're okay. If we become angry or we have hatred, then what happens is our mind is clouded and we cannot think. So imagine you're busy, calm, typing, and you get angry for some reason, then you can't work anymore. Or, you're sitting, working somewhere, and a beautiful person walks past and they distract you, and maybe you've got a bit of desire, um, and then you can't work. Or maybe you see someone wearing, or they've got the brand new iPhone, you know, and maybe you can afford a 5,000 rand iPhone and they've got a 30,000 rand iPhone, and there's jealousy. And then you can't act, you can't think, you can't behave, you get stuck in the jealousy. Your mind gets fogged up with jealousy. Your mind gets fogged up with hatred. Your mind gets fogged up with desire or anger or fear or resentment, or all these mind poisons which are sitting in your mind and clouding what's going on in your mind. And then you get brain fog. That's why they're called poisons, because they poison your mind to see the other side. So if someone says to me, um, Russia invaded Ukraine, which is another topic that's happening at the moment, then I'm going to say, well, why did they do that? And then someone's going to say, well, because Putin's a dictator. And I'm going to say, well, you know, okay, well, what did Putin say in 2014? What did he say in 2015? What did he say in 2009? What happened in 1994? What happened with perestroika? How far do we need to go back to understand the context? And I'm having a discussion. I'm not getting angry. I'm not fearful. I'm not resenting. I'm saying that there's strategic things happening, and we need to see what those strategic things are, and have a decent human adult conversation, and a deep conversation where we go deep, where we go into the heart of the matter, where we think, what can I do about the situation? Should I do something about the situation? If I go and look how many people die in South Africa every day, statistically, more people have died in South Africa than have died in every single Middle Eastern war combined. Probably more than I'm saying murdered. Sorry, more people get murdered in South Africa every year than have been killed in most wars. And I live in South Africa. I'm an optimist. I'm trying to say, well, let's stop that. But everybody wants to go and fix the problem over there, but they don't want to fix the problem over here. So I must just identify what is saying that I can deal with. Yes, I can talk about the Russia-Ukraine war. I can talk about COVID. I can talk about, whatever I'm going to talk about. That's fine. But I'm not going to be fearful of any of that stuff. I'm not going to be fearful that a nuclear bomb is going to drop in my garden, because if it happens, I'm not even going to know about it. So I'm not going to worry about that. There are other more competent people that are worrying about that and dealing with it and preventing the third or fourth World War. So, but if I have something under my control, then if you drop a cup on your toe and your toe is sore, your focus is going to be on your toe, and that's good. You need to be focused on your toe. What are you going to do about it? Do you need to go to the doctor? Do you need stitches? Do you need to just put it in some ice water? There's 100 things you can do about it. And so we've got all of these things that are clouding our mind, and we've spoken about jealousy, and we've spoken about hatred. Hatred is, this person hates that person, and then all that's happened. Like I had a bully at school. I was bullied, and after school, I was thinking, how can I get back at this bully? And of course, I didn't want to kill him or hurt him physically, but I was thinking, I want to hurt him financially, and I spent like 10 years after school, like every day for an hour, thinking about this horrible boy at school, and it was clouding my mind. It was like an hour wasted a day of thinking all the brilliant, brainy schemes of financial destruction of my enemy. And one day he had a party, and I went to the party, and I said, I forgive you. And he broke down crying in front of his friends. And he said he never knew how to ask for forgiveness. So we don't know what's going on with other people. We need to ask them. So we go back to the beginning, anxiety. Anxiety is happening because people don't know how to make decisions. And maybe we should add to that. And people don't know how to ask questions. Just add some spaces. Okay. So I mentor a lot of people at university, postgrads, unemployed people. I've even got a 60-year-old guy who I've just started mentoring. And the first thing I ask people to do is to write a 5-page. I don't want to read the CV. I say, what is it you do? The guy says, I'm a farmer. This latest 60-year-old. Say, cool. I want you to write a 5-page essay for me, okay, of why you started farming, what have you learned, where you're going, what's your strategy, how do you want to grow, is it just for yourself or is it for other people, is it for your community? I want to know how you feel about what you're passionate about. And I said to the guy, give me a deadline. And he says, Wednesday, today. And then at 10 o'clock in the evening, I get an email, a message from him, WhatsApp. Sorry, I can't deliver. I've only done 2 days. I'm late. And I say, cool. When can you deliver? And he says, I can deliver on Saturday. I say, fine. And then he sends me a message and he said, he says, I didn't know how you would react. And he puts a crying emoji. And I say, and I write to him and I say, how old are you? And he says, I'm 60. And I say, well, what's going on here? And he says, but I didn't know how you're going to react. I said, look, the deadline is your deadline, and you asking me for help. And if you don't meet your deadline, then I'm not going to help you. If you send me a message tomorrow and said, sorry, I'm late, I'll say, sorry, I can't help you. And if you send me if you forget, I can't help you. And that's my rule. And some people are upset about that. But if I'm employing you and paying you, and I say the deadline is 4 o'clock on Wednesday, and 3 weeks ago that you're going to be late, you must tell me 3 weeks ago. And if you knew, you were working, everything was hunky-dory, and at 11 a.m. you suddenly hit a brick wall. You're not going to deliver at 4 o'clock. You phone me. 11. Hi, David. John here. Sorry, I'm picking on John. John here. I've got a problem. I've hit a brick wall. I say, what's the wall? No, that supplier that was meant to deliver widget X, they're only going to deliver it next week. Or we had a power failure that wiped out one of our chipsets, and we had a electrical surge, and so I can't finish that circuit board I'm working on, or whatever the case is. But if I know in advance, I can deal with it. I don't want to know I don't want to know afterwards. I want to know before. I tell people, if you make a mistake and you can clean it up before I notice it, or before the client notices it, then clean it up. But if you make a mistake and you can't clean it up, tell me as soon as you know, because if the client finds out about your mistake before I find out about it, I'm going to be upset. So these are the rules of engagement with me. But the thing is that we've got to know, the reason I told you that story about that 6-year-old guy is he was worried, okay, about telling me I'm going to be late. But so he's scared. He's fearful. Shit, what's David going to do? That guy in Cape Town, And all I'm thinking is, well, I'm not thinking about it. I've got in my diary 5 p.m. I'm expecting his delivery, but we said Wednesday. So Wednesday technically ends at 23:59:59. Okay, 11:59:59 p.m. So he sent a message at 10 and he said, sorry, I can't deliver. And I said, no problem. And he says, and he got a shock when I said no problem. It's not like I once jump up and down. It's not the deadline. It's not a there's no price involved except wasting my time. Don't waste my time. If I want to waste my time, that's a different story. And if I go to the beach, or I go for a walk, or I do Tai Chi, or I read a book, you can say I'm an avid book reader, researcher. I've got my own books I've written. I'm writing more books. Then all of these things I'm doing, I'm not wasting time. But if I'm go to a meeting, even if it's online, I'm waiting on Zoom for you. I had a meeting last week at 2:30. The guy didn't turn up. I waited 15 minutes. I left the meeting. I went and did some stuff. And I looked at my emails 2 hours later, and there was an email from him 22 minutes after the meeting started, 7 minutes after I closed the meeting, say, hi, sorry I'm late, can we meet now? But I mean, at 2:30, he knew I was going to be late. Maybe even at 2:15 he knew. But at the latest at 2:30, all you need to do is send me a message or phone me and say, "Hi, David. Sorry, I'm still in a meeting. I thought I'd be finished by now. It looks like, can we meet at 3?" I said, "No problem." As it is now, the next available time I have for him is in 3 weeks' time. He's already missed one meeting. So we made a meeting the next week, and then he missed the next meeting. So I don't need to be anxious about that. I'm trying to give him work. If he's late, well, it's not my problem. I'll go find someone else. But I don't have to be upset about it or hate him about it or have any mind poisons about it. I just need to get on with the things I need to do. So I'm getting a cloudy mind because I'm not making a decision. You get to a crossroads and there's a long but short road and there's a short but long road and you don't know what to do. So you call a navigator, okay, an advisor. I'm the navigator, and I tell you why this road is long but short and why this road is short but long. If you want to know why one route is long but short and the other is short but long, write in the comments and we'll make another video. Okay, but I'm not taking the person. I'm just saying these are the reasons. And we make a decision. It doesn't matter which direction you take. You're going to get to the destination. But you have to make the decision. And then once you made the decision, and you hit the river or you hit the mountain or you hit whatever it is, the desert, you've made that decision. So you must either decide when you get to the desert in 3 days' time, I can cross the desert, or you must say, no, I can't cross the desert because I don't have enough water, or I get to mountain, I don't have my mountain biking equipment, my mountain climbing equipment, or I get to the river and I don't have a boat. So I go back to the crossroads and I try the other route, and maybe that's easier for me. But I made a decision. If I have to backtrack and go a different way, that's a fact of life. That happens to everybody. But I made a decision. I wasn't worried. We can add worry here. We can add fear, anxiety. Anxiety is like you take all of the stuff and you get anxiety because it's like, I don't know what to do now. So we go back to the beginning. I'm not making a decision. I don't know what to do now. I don't know what to do now. No? I'm not making a decision. And I'm not asking a question. What is the question? Is this the right route? Should I maybe change the route? Should I backtrack? Is there a different alternative? I've chosen this route. Maybe I can make the route even longer or shorter. Maybe I see there's a boatman on the other side of the thing and I call him, I wave. Maybe he doesn't see me. Maybe I make it out of fire for a smoke and there's a smoke signal. And the guy sees the fire burning and he sees me waving and he comes and fetches me. Maybe I've got a flare gun and I send up a flare and the guy sees the flare and he comes fetches me. I don't know. There's 100 possibilities. Maybe phone reception is working. I can phone the local, person and say, well, how do I get across this river? And he can say, walk 2 kilometers upstream. There's a bridge. So there's so much different possibilities. But I don't want to be anxious when I get to the river. If I see crocodiles, I might be anxious, but I have to deal with it. I've got to go back. I'm not James Bond. I can't cross the river by running across crocodiles like we saw in that one movie. That happens in movies. Or maybe it happens if your name's James Bond. I don't know. And then we need to ask questions. What am I going to do now? Where am I going? If I'm feeling a mind poison, I'm feeling fearful, I'm feeling hatred or jealousy or desire or anger or fear or resentment or worry or fear, I've got fear twice. You see? That's fine. We can have fear twice. I'm feeling all these things and it's causing anxiety. It's causing this constant feeling of worry and stress. Stress on my system. Stress on my family. What does stress do? High blood pressure. I go to see my doctor and I've got high blood pressure. My doctor's a medical doctor. He'll give me a pill to reduce my blood pressure. But I need to say, why is my blood pressure high? My blood pressure is high because I'm in a stressful environment. So why is my stress? Am I codependent? Or, has someone just died in my family? Or, am I fighting with my wife? Or did I just get fired? Or is my company moving office? Or have I just moved house? Or there could be 100 reasons why my blood pressure is high. But just because my blood pressure is high doesn't mean my blood pressure is high all the time. I'm not saying that if your blood pressure is high, you shouldn't do anything. But your blood pressure goes up and down all day. Every time you breathe in and out, your heartbeat changes, your blood pressure changes, everything changes as you breathe. So, you have to go underneath, go deep, ask questions. I'm feeling, hatred. Well, what should I do about it? I'm Jewish, and someone makes a comment about, Jews are misers. I just have to let it wash off me. It actually happened today. You know, someone told a joke about it. I just laughed. You know, some people don't even realize what they're saying. You know, and people might say a racist comment without even realizing they're being racist. They're not doing it on purpose. And then other people get upset with them and say that guy's a racist, but they don't go and say what's happening. Why did that happen? What can we do about it? There's the story at the moment about this. Let's say he's a blue boy and he urinates on a red boy's books at the university. It happens at 2 o'clock in the morning. What was happening? Were they at a party? Were they drunk? Was it a prank? The fact that one guy's blue and the other guy's red, is that relevant? And within one day, 40,000 people had voted for this boy to be thrown out of the university. Are these people well-meaning people? Do they have any right to comment and destroy someone's life for the next 40 years because he got thrown out of it and it's a bad mark on his record? Can the two families get together and resolve the issue like adults? People have got so much hatred in them, and then they've got mind poisons, and they've got brain fog, and then they lose their jobs, and then they say, no, my boss fired me, and it's because of some rubbish happening at Stellenbosch University that distracted you from your life. And if you look at distraction, and we'll end with this, it's got the word traction in it. And when you're on your motorbike or in your car, you've got tires on the road creating traction. If you drive over oil or over stones or over sand or on snow or on ice, there's no traction. Distraction. Let's go and look at this. Distraction. And it's got the word track in it. T-R-A. We add K on it. Maybe just track. Traction. I lose my track. I lose my train. I lose my train of mind. Traction, traction, distraction. I'm distracted over there. I'm not over here. And that's also causes a lot of fear and anxiety and worry, that I'm distracted. Maybe you think you're distracted by watching a 40-minute video from David. That's fine. But I'm trying to get to the crux of the matter and go deep and say, if you're feeling anxious, then identify, what of these things is causing the anxiety? And, if it's fear, then we spoke about that. Fear has got ear in it. And if you listen, you get into gear and you hear and you become, the fear becomes dear because it just goes away. Okay. I think I should stop now. It's 40 minutes. I want to help as much as I can and give you my views. If you want personal private mentoring, I'm happy to do that. You can pay me. You can barter with me. You can say, I'm a lawyer. I'll give you an hour of my time in exchange for my hour of my time, whatever. Or I'm a university student. I give the university student an hour. The university student gives me 5 hours. I'm happy with any of those kinds of things. I'm not happy to do things where I'm not compensated. I'm not happy to do things. This is a free thing I'm doing for you. I'm putting it online. I'm making it free on YouTube, and that's great. I'm very happy to do that. But if you want personal one-on-one advice, at the very least, I'd like you to buy me a coffee, which you can do online, or make a payment in PayPal, or whatever the case is, or say, David, I hear you're writing a novel. I can help with the design or the layout. In exchange for an hour of mentoring, I'll give you a layout. So lots of possibilities. Okay, so good night, or good morning, or good day, and I'm sending blessing and lots of love and health, and try to go deep. Try to ask those difficult questions. Try to identify what's causing the mind poison. Try to identify where the anxiety is coming from. Try to identify what the fear is. Try to identify those underlying things. And if you have brain fog, try to identify, if you're driving in your car and you hit the fog, you would turn your fog lights on. And there's two things. One, you've got front fog lights and back fog lights. The front fog lights are to try and see in the mist, and the back fog lights are so someone else can see you. So in your mind, you need to do that. Turn on your bright lights, when you're in the fog, and get that big picture. Maybe ask your spouse or your child or your father or your psychologist or your friend or your boss or whatever, depending on your relationship. I've got this problem. Talk about it. See if you can get over the problem or around the problem, or under the problem. Or maybe the problem just disappears. Thank you and goodbye.